Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining me on this beautiful July 18, 2018. And it's actually 2:11 p.m. Um, in today's video, I want to talk about giants, and I want to address that issue. I have two videos to share, and one I'm going to address. There are two separate videos, but it's basically talking about the same thing and addressing the same topic. The Bible and the book of Enoch confirms Genesis 6 about the fallen angels that made it with women, and it speaks about their children. They are called giants on earth. It also states that they were here then and after. So they were here during before the flood, pre-flood, and they were here post-flood. How did they survive? The Bible does not say, but one of the theories, considering where we are finding, quote unquote, most of the giants nowadays, they went underground, and I am pretty sure about that theory, to be honest, because it just makes sense, because there's just no other way that they could have survived, and I don't believe that God would allow them to enter the ark. So, with the information that we have between the book of Enoch and the Bible, all right, we can, with a certainty, say that these beings are still here. So, with a certainty, we can say that they're very much real, and with all the excavations that have been going on and all the findings of giant skeletons and the structures and odd things that are happening with the stories that have come out of the Solomon Islands and all that stuff, we have to come to an understanding that these things are very much real, and that there are things that our brain is not capable of understanding because we've never seen it. So we might dismiss it as normal, as coincidence, as odd, as weird. But in reality, there's no such thing. It's there. You're seeing it. It's manifesting itself. If you would have told me a few years ago, then I would be speaking about other beings, I would have told you're crazy. But after everything I know and the information and the research and what the Bible says, comparing it to what the book of Enoch says, it's unmistakable. It's there. They're there. And while we've been too busy, occupied, and being, entertained, they've been building their underground cities. They've been working hand in hand with the government. They made deals with the government. And just as we see in movies, they won't come up as long as we feed them. So, as long as we allow them to continue to hijack people and infest people and make people disappear and kidnap our children without a trace, these things are still going to continue to happen because we are allowing them, because we are not allowing ourselves to accept the truth, not only found in the Bible, but found all over us architecturally wise. There is no way that an architecture or a foundation can exist without it having someone behind it to build it. And some of these archaeology sites that have been discovered, there is no machine in this world that can move those rocks. Never mind align them in such precise concordance with each other. So, what other explanation there is? The Mayans spoke of giants, gods that came down. The Aztecs, the same thing. And both of those civilizations got wiped away, leaving us the scriptures on the walls to read. Not only that, we have the examples of the Egyptians telling us the same thing. 3 different civilizations telling us that there's giants, that they seen them, that they were as tall as cedar trees, that they were here, and that they interacted with mankind. The only problem is that those civilizations are non-existent, and we cannot get first-hand accounts of what happened, because the only thing that we have to interpret are writings on walls. And that goes for all 3 civilizations. So are we still going to linger on whether we are speaking truth or whether we are looking at truth? So let's go a little further, since you guys still don't believe. What's going on in the Solomon Islands with people, the villagers, speaking that they're giants and that they see them and that they come out and that they have gotten help from them and that they seem passive and gentle and helpful, but that they are cannibals? So are all those villagers crazy? Are they making up stories? I don't think so. Are the Aztecs making up stories and they left their writings behind? Are the Mayans making up stories and they left their writings behind? Are the ancient Egyptians making up stories and they left their writings behind? I'm afraid not, my friends, because all you gotta do is take a look at the back of your dollar bill and figure out that we have ancient Egyptian archaeology and symbolism in our dollar bill. So what does America have to do with Egypt? Nothing. But if we look at the underground, occult, demonic witchcraft that's going on, then you'll find the link. Follow the writing on the wall, and you're going to come to your own conclusion. But before you start seeking truth, solidify your foundation. Because it's going to do you no good for you to know the truth, for you to know all the secrets of the world, if your soul is not convicted on the truth of Jesus Christ and you haven't come to terms with that. If you haven't come to terms with that, then it will do you no good to know the truth, because that's the first truth, and that is the key to salvation. Anything and everything else is extra. Bless the man that can see the truth and stand firm in the eyes of God. That's what I say. Because it will do me no good for me to know all the secrets of the world and prove it to you guys if my foundation is not solidified. And when I die, I'm going to end up in hell and on the wrong side of paradise. And no, I'm not talking about heaven paradise. I'm talking about the paradise that you go to when you die. You either go to the left or you go to the right. And we see that picture in the Bible, and that's a video for another time because I'm working on that one. So, with that being said, let's go into our first video. Our first video is by visual, and this video at 9 minutes and 40 seconds, okay, you're going to see a beautiful sight, and I'm only going to focus on that because everything else is just self-explanatory. But this particular part requires a lot of thinking because you think that the person is actually recording a beautiful sight, but in reality there's a spiritual war going on, and they are letting us know what's happening. While America is being entertained by politics and about this beast system and about religion and about the agendas that are at hand, there is a spiritual war going on in Jerusalem. Because that's where your Antichrist is going to be rise from. That's his domain. The seed of Satan is over there, leaving us with his minions on this side of the earth. So, the first thing that you see is the Dome of Rock. And you see an angel come upon the Dome of Rock. And as you see that, you also see like a shadowy figure walking in the air. Then all of a sudden you see him zooming around on a circle motion and showing you what's around. The second thing that I noticed is, where are the people? From that high where he was, we should have been able to see people on the streets or people in backyards or some type of people activity, but there is none. Then there's a part where you see a big cross right in front of the camera, and he's focusing on an angle of the cross. If you look straight ahead, you actually see a spiritual war, and you actually see snakes. It took me 3 times, 3 different days studying this video for me to actually sit here and explain to you what my eyes seen, because I seen it. Not only did I see it, I actually captured it on my phone. So it's no mistake of what I've seen. The first day I thought I was tired because I was seeing like little blinging things, you know, on the side of my eyes. So I thought I was tired. But the second day I saw it and I just walked away from it. And I came back and I saw it again and I walked away from it. And, you know, it wasn't until this morning I said, you know what? I'm looking at what I'm looking, and that's it. I have to accept it. I saw snakes. I saw some type of battle, some type of spiritual battle, and I literally saw snakes, heads of snakes just coming out of like a corner. And there's like a pine tree right there that if you can take that pine tree out, you can see more. But the person that's recording is not just recording a beautiful sight, but they have just recorded a spiritual war. Like, I am almost 100% sure that there's a spiritual war going on in that particular video. All you have to do is slow it down and look at it. Look at where he's pointing. And you will see it, because I saw it. I am not going to sit here and say whether this was an angel of God or whether this wasn't an angel of God. I don't know that. All I know is that I saw an angel. And it landed right on top of the Dome of Rock. Right after that, I started to see the spiritual war on that corner where he kept on pointing. Because there were specific places where he paused and he was just pointing right there, like if he wanted us to see something. Not to mention, there's no people outside. So, leads me to believe that this is more than just a breathtaking sight, and Jerusalem is beautiful. Jerusalem is breathtaking. I wish that I had the opportunity to actually see it for myself. I've seen it in my dreams, and it's beautiful. I've seen it in pictures and videos, and it's beautiful. It's breathtaking. But that's where the seed of Satan is. It's right now in control. And there's going to be a big fight for Jerusalem in the end times, just like the Bible states. So, that's the first video. Slow it down to 0.25 and you would be able to see it very clearly. And you can comment and tell me if I'm crazy or I'm going insane or whether you see anything at all. On the second video, it is clear that we're looking at a giant and everybody missed it. The second video was cops caught setting fire in Ferguson. I actually did look at this video because I followed the Ferguson incident from beginning to end. And I missed this. I missed it. Because once again, when our brain sees something and they cannot make sense of it, it will just ignore it altogether. But it's there all along. And this is what's been happening. We've been looking at it, we've been seeing it, but we are taking it as normal. Oh wow, that's a very tall person. No, that's a giant. Non-human, super soldier, giant. Look at all the men standing around it, and there's a woman right next to him. Because I'm going to put this video under the description box, and he actually tells you that's a woman and a man. Okay? But take a look at how tall this guy is. If you can measure how tall is the advanced store from bottom to end, you can more or less figure out how tall this guy is. But I'm going to take a wild guess. This guy has to be about 8 feet tall. Because there's just but a few inches between him and the ceiling of advance, if you really want to judge. This guy is huge. Not only that, but these are your super soldiers. And we don't see them. Because the guy in the video mentions nothing about the statues of how tall this individual is. He's capturing the corruption of the police department, but we already know that. We need to pay attention to these minor details, and we need to stop programming our brain to see what it's meant for us to see and not what they want us to see. Because a lot of us miss this, including myself. But as you awaken your consciousness to the truth of this world, and as you come to terms with Jesus Christ, you will start to understand more. There's a spiritual war going on, and it's time that we wake up and face the truth. Our subconscious already knows it. Our subconscious has been seeing these entities, but because our brain cannot understand it, we throw it off in the fiction aisle, and it's hard for us to believe it because we've never seen it. So, this is no different than Sasquatch, Dogman / werewolf, other entities that are shapeless and skinless and looks so hideous that has been captured on film. These things are very much real. And when you come to terms with the Bible and you arm yourself with the armor of God and the knowledge that God gives, because knowledge comes from Him and He gives it to whoever He pleases. God does whatever He pleases. And that's the truth. It's up to us to follow, and it's up to us to come to terms with this truth first. Then seek whatever else you want to seek. Because if you die tonight of a heart attack while you are sleeping and you have not come to terms with Jesus Christ and you haven't accepted the gift of life, you are going straight to hell. And that is not no fiction. That is nor coincidence. That is nor fear mongering. And that is not for you to be afraid. That's the truth. If you reject the truth of Jesus Christ, He will reject you, leaving you heading to the piles of hell, along with Satan and his minions and the fallen angels that are in chains. These entities are not good. These giants are not human. They are not God's creation. You need to understand that. And you need to come to terms with it. Because there's going to come a time where you're going to see them. They are going to come above. Eventually, they're going to come above. As people wake up, people are going to start to realize and put two and two together that there's something strangely going on. Not only in Hollywood, not only with our politicians, but with our forests. People are going missing in the most inexplicable ways. The rumors are too much to ignore. The evidence is too much to ignore. Search the Solomon Islands so you can hear the story of the villagers. Those people are not crazy, nor are they making it up. Nor were the Aztecs crazy, nor were the Mayans crazy, and nor was ancient Egypt a myth. It's all real. The scriptures on the writings are there for us to interpret. And those civilizations were wiped out. They are not here to tell us what happened. So we have to interpret what was left behind. We're not the only ones here. The Bible clearly tells us that they were here pre-flood and they were here post-flood. Not only that, but the book of Enoch completely sheds light on Genesis 6 and explains it even further as to what happened. That's it. You can understand it, digest it, accept it, and move on and prepare your mind, your brain for the things that you are going to see in the future. Or you can deny it and continue to watch your sports and be manipulated by the television, because it's called pre-programming for a reason. So, when I stopped entertaining demonic spirits and I took this word and the Bible and my path and my relationship with God serious, I started to see things that were not there before. But they've always been there. But when you're blinded, when you're silenced, and when you are deaf, you cannot see, hear, or speak. But when you come to terms with Jesus Christ is going to show you the truth Himself. And He's going to guide you for you to accept the truth, because you're going to be able to understand. The truth is accepted when we understand. Why are a lot of people afraid of death? Because they do not understand. When you understand death and you understand what Jesus Christ speaks, then it's a lot easier for you to accept that we're going to die and we are not eternal beings. It's very easy. There are no mysteries in the Bible. There's just a lack of understanding in the world. Because understanding comes from God. And the beginning of fear comes from God. When you fear God, you can no longer walk hand in hand with this world. You have to separate yourself. And that means from everything. And you have to start walking on your own and trying to stand up on your own 2 feet. And not depend on church, on a brother or a sister. Because those people in church, they're not your brothers and sisters. Nobody that makes distinction, nobody that feels that they're better than everybody else and they're waiting for the rapture and I'm going home and you're going to stay and ha ha ha, that's not the character of God. Because God doesn't take pleasure in our demise. And if once we understand that, then we are on our way to understanding the character of God. And that's truth. Leaving me to believe that what we have in the churches today are nothing but familiar spirits and demonic entities manifesting themselves through people that feel that their salvation is once saved, always saved. They can never go wrong, when in reality we have more sins inside the church than outside the church. This is why I refuse to walk through that door. And I separated myself. And that's truth right there. And I'm trying. And I recognize that I'm not perfect, nor am I made perfect. But this is a personal relationship with God. And not, bow my knees whenever things are tough and pray whenever things are tough. No, you have to maintain a communication. You have to talk to Him every day. God doesn't like repetition. He doesn't like chanting. This is why this is an individual thing. And you have to talk to Him like I'm talking to you right now. God, what's going on? Please open my eyes. Let me see what you want me to see, not what the world wants me to see. Let me see these things for myself. We need to talk to Him. He's hearing us. He's watching us. There's nothing that He doesn't see. Our most intimate moments, He sees them. He knows our weaknesses. Because He knows He didn't make us perfect. This is why the angels fell into such a sin. Because they were made at perfection. They were everlasting. Just imagine if they were so everlasting that God had to create a special place for them. The lake of fire and brimstone was created for the angels that left their estate and disobeyed God and took wives when God did not appoint wives to them because they were not made out of flesh. We need to accept the truth and we need to come to terms with it. These giants are real. And we are hearing more and more about them. Not only that, they're right among us. This guy on this video has to be at least 8 feet to 9 feet tall. He's taller than everybody else. Why isn't nobody saying something? Why is everybody overlooking that? Is he invisible? Isn't nobody see him? Because the guy making this video doesn't even mention how tall this individual is and how close to the top of the building he comes. I've never seen a person so tall. And I've seen tall people. The tallest person I've ever seen was 6 feet. I've never seen anybody taller than that except on movies, on TV, but not in real life. We gotta accept the truth And we gotta come to terms with it. And we have to prepare our mind. And we have to arm ourselves with the armor of God so that we can sustain and survive if we are meant to survive. And it is the will of God that we carry on as a witness to what happened and what we have seen, and tell the stories and alert others. That's at the discretion of God, because life is not certain. Neither is salvation. You have to secure it every day. And you have to speak to God, because this is a personal relationship. And we are saved by belief, not works. But just as we are saved, we can easily fall into temptation and lose our salvation and get blinded all over again, because we refuse to see the truth and accept it. And when you know what's good for you, but you still choose to do evil, it constitutes as a sin. When you know how to do right, but you decide to do wrong. Keep that in mind the next time that you can lend a hand to someone and you refuse to do it. Because when we die, we are not taking anything. Nothing. The only thing that we are going to take with us, and the only thing that is going to matter, is how much good we've done in this world. Because the only thing that's going to be weighed in a balance is our good deeds and our bad deeds. Make sure that you're one of those that can outdo more good than bad. Make sure that your good deeds are more than your bad ones. We're not perfect. And sometimes we don't want to deal with things. Sometimes we just don't want to bother, because it's not our problem, because it's not our business, because why should we care? Those people, that's their choice. But have you stepped out to just for 1 second to think how much of an inspiration you can be to someone? How much you can change a life by doing a good deed? We need to think about that. In a world full of evil, in a world that's calling evil good and good evil, we need to exercise our righteousness. And we need to do good. Not to exalt ourselves, but to serve as testimony that we can influence in the name of Jesus Christ. We can influence a life to change their ways and to see the truth for what it is. And just one person. If I can convince one person to accept Jesus Christ and to start living for themselves and separate themselves from this world and trust in Jesus and put their faith in Jesus, if I can convince one soul, I've done my job. One person to realize and recognize that without Jesus Christ, there is nothing. My advice on this topic: if you don't accept the truth now and prepare your brain, you will accept it later, falling into deceivement and lies. Because they're going to come as the saviors. And they're going to bring their technology that they've been perfecting all these years. It's up to us to recognize and make a difference between the children of Satan and the children of God. And it's time to separate ourselves. Only when you separate yourself would you be able to see these things. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Wednesday. Until next time with another video, God bless you all. Please think about these things. Come to terms with it. And let me know in the description your thoughts and what's going on as far as what you see and what I've pointed out. If you care to comment, it will be appreciated. Until next time in another video, thank you so much and God bless you all. Much love from Puerto Rico.